Hello, welcome to Lotus Chat tonight. I'm Laura Benson, and I am so excited to be here with Jen Rosales
Hi, guys.
and Zian Eng. Thank you so much.
Hi.
I am so excited that you ladies are here. So tonight we are going to talk about balancing your inner energies, being balanced from within, inner self. And over the next few weeks, these wonderful, gifted ladies and I are going to talk about that finding that inner balance in energy. You may have heard it described as the yin and the yang, the male and the female energies. We all have those energies inside. And when our life is just not clicking, many times it's because we're out of balance. So tonight we're going to talk about the balance within ourselves. And then next week and the following week, we're going to talk about specific energies. And I'm so excited to learn from Jen and Zian. So I can't wait to come and learn something new. So Jen and Zian, thank you for being here tonight. And I'm going to start with a question, and I can't wait to hear the answer. So let's start with Jen. How do we know when we're out of balance, and what might that look like?
Well, that's a great question. First off, I'm glad that you mentioned the whole concept of energy. And I think it's fantastic that we are looking at the fact that we are all energetic beings. And
Yes.
What do we mean by that? Now, I know we can go, there are a lot of people who believe in the idea that as energetic beings, we were created from the cosmos. We were sent from the divine, however you define the divine. And because of that, we have that energy within us. Now, when we are out of balance, that's when you start noticing things in your life not clicking as well as you would want them to. And the way that I notice that I'm out of balance when my energy is either blocked, the inner energy, or when I notice that I'm kind of like feeling off.
Yes.
That's when I'm like, oh, something isn't feeling right in this moment or in this experience or with this person or, et cetera. And when I think about my own inner energy, I think about when I'm at peace with something, an experience, a person, that's when I know that the energetic balance is aligned. When I feel like I'm not at peace or I feel anxious or tired or overwhelmed, that's when with either someone or something, that's when I know that my balance is off. Now, I'm not saying that, I'm the only person's balance who's off. It could be that both of our, if you're in an experience with somebody, that both of the energies are off. And that's why there is conflict. That's why there is struggle. And so in that sense, that's how I personally know when things are off, is when I feel like there's like some type of, I wouldn't say negativity, but there is an issue. There's a problem. There's something. And it comes up, guys. I kid you not, you will notice it. If you are having an issue with somebody, it's because the energy is off. And there are some times when I've heard some people even say, your energy feels off today. Is there something wrong? Do you have a problem? That is what people mean by your energy being out of balance. So that's how I define that. And I'd love to hear what all the other ladies think here. Zian?
Yeah. I love what you shared just now, Jen. And when you speak about, energy, I also think that is very important. The feeling when someone walks into the room and they just transfer this energy and people around them can just catch them. And that's like without them speaking a word, but it's the minute they walk in. And to me, when you sense out that energy, it's like you are sending out a level of like frequency, it's like people can feel the energy and frequency. So that energy is both way. I think it's from your inner self to your outer world, and also from your outer world to your inner world. And you are right, when you are having an experience with someone or an experience with an event, and sometimes the energy is off balance, to me, I feel it at the gut level. It's like someone will probably call it instinct, but at the gut level, you can actually feel that whether or not this energy is right, or if there's something that you need to kind of, clear the space also. Yeah. But what do you think, Laura?
Well, I definitely can tell you when I'm out of balance. And for someone like me, it's really hard. I knew at an early age, I feel other people's energies. It's just like, I could walk in a room and just be like, and so when my energy is off, I'm either too much in my head or I'm feeling too much in my heart, meaning I'm easily offended, I'm easily hurt, I'm easily read things that aren't there. Or if I'm being too analytical, I'm analyzing everything and I can't feel it, I can't experience it. And then what I notice is I have this conflict inside where I feel like my heart and my head aren't in alignment. And then things that are happening outside, my reactions are conflicting with what people are seeing. So they're kind of like, where did that come from? So I can always tell when I'm out of balance because my reality or my perception of reality isn't peaceful. It's trying to be, I guess you would say it's ego driven. I'm trying to read into it for protection, whether it be in my mind or my heart. And then the outside isn't aligning with it. So for me personally, I can always tell. I was with my son today and we had a wonderful talk, and we were talking about, he's had a lot of stress in his life lately. Mm-hmm. And finally, we just started talking about it. And, I leapt to the conclusion, maybe I said something, maybe I did something, and it was none of that. I was just feeling and picking up on his energy about external issues. But once we talked it through, I realized what was happening. So when you're an energetic person, you can pick up on those things. It's always good to get reality rather than the imbalance.
And Laura, thank you for mentioning that when you're an energetic person. Now, to all of our viewers and listeners out there, I want to really, push home that all of us are energetic beings. And we all have that ability to be able to feel what, the things around us. And for anyone out there who's more in the sciencey realm of regarding like the fact that, oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. So I mentioned that for the science, people who are more science forward, the whole idea of inner energy is really a scientific fact that we all harness our own internal energy. And we can find those examples. Like, for example, when we get static electricity, like if you've ever done the balloon test on your head and seen your hair like go all crazy, that is an example of the fact that we all harness energy. I mean, even Tesla harnessed energy from his environment back in like the late 1800s, early 1900s. It's all around us, and we are all energetic beings. So there's a scientific, a little tangent for everyone. But yes, so I just wanted to put that out there that you are all beautiful, energetic beings, and I'm glad we're talking about this topic today to help you align your energy.
Thank you so much, Jen. Our next question is, what does inner balance feel or look like? So Jen, I'm going to ask you to help us. We know what it looks like when we're not in balance. What does it look like when we're in balance?
Oh, great. That's a great thing for us to bring up here because of the fact that we all are very aware that there are times in our lives when things are not in balance. When things are in balance, and I mentioned the word peace, things just seem to fit and flow a lot easier. And one of the biggest ways you can find out if you are in balance is your own body, health-wise. So for example, when I know I'm in balance, I know that I sleep a lot deeper and a lot better. When I'm not in balance, I know that I have never ending thoughts in my head, and I wake up feeling like I have not slept. So when you find that moment of peace, when you with either within yourself in that moment with that person, then that relationship flows better. Then the communication is better. And even like the way you relate to others, it's just natural and flowy, you know. And even when those instances come where you come across somebody who isn't in balance, you know how to handle that situation better, because you don't react. You don't react in a way where you're like, you allow that person's energy to touch your energy. So that's when you know that you're in balance.
Yes, I love that, Jen. I love when you said that inner peace and sleeping well. That like hits home for me. It's so true. And for me, inner balance also means that I am eating and breathing well. Not just eating for the sake of eating, but really just enjoying the food, you know, enjoying the sensory experience. That's my point. And I think when I achieve inner balance, it does not mean that there are no external challenges. I wanted to clarify that, because when you, regardless of the external circumstance or the challenges that you face during that day, but if you have inner balance, it kind of feels like I'm ready for anything that's going to come my way. So I think that's when I know that the inner balance is there. What do you think, Laura?
Okay, well, for me, and it's this simple. If I'm chasing and pushing for an outcome, I'm out of balance. If I'm working really hard and task driven because my external surroundings or experiences aren't matching where I want to be, that is where I feel out of balance. Meaning my head's telling me something needs to be happening, or my heart's saying this isn't what I want to happen, and then I have an outside external experience that's totally unrelated. My life is out of balance. My experiences, my thoughts, my heart are not in alignment. When they are in alignment, I'm in what I call receiving mode. I'm not trying to push, I'm not trying to get an outcome, I'm not trying to make people act the way I want them to do. I'm just flowing. I'm flowing in peace. I'm flowing in acknowledgement of what is. I'm present. I'm not trying to plan for the future or atone for what happened in the past. I'm just enjoying the now. That for me is what it feels like to be present, and it's what it feels like to be in balance, where I'm just enjoying. I'm not trying to work at something or get something or make it happen. I'm receiving. Does that make sense?
Yeah. When you said that, the visual that comes into my mind is like you're sitting in a boat and then you're just going with the current, not against the current.
Can I bring up the image that came to my head? Dory from Finding Nemo, the just swimming.
Yes.
That's exactly what I felt like when you were describing, like just being in the flow.
We have a society that says you ought to be doing, you ought to be achieving, you ought to be, this is how your life should look, and these are all the steps. Most of us, our life never goes the way we have it planned. I mean, I think we all have things in our life that we didn't expect. That doesn't mean we throw our life away. It means that we need to be more receiving and enjoying what is, rather than making it into something it isn't. And so that's why I'm practicing flow and being present in the moment, because I grew up that I had to work really hard. I had to be the best there is, because that's how I proved I was valuable, and it's how I proved I was worthy. And that couldn't be farther from the truth. You are valuable and worthy, listener, as you are. You don't have to work at it. You just have to experience it and be it. Okay, our last question, ladies, and I want to hear what you have to say. what are the benefits and why is it important to find that balance? Maybe not only benefits for us, but those around us. And Jen, I'm going to go to you first because I know Zan will be next.
Yes, I'm glad that we're, putting it all into this, concise question here for everybody here, which is, why is it important to be in balance? And I think for me personally, it's important to be in balance because in that way you find that internal and external peace. And it makes things in your life less confusing. It makes things a lot easier to understand rather than, as Laura says, fight against because something didn't turn out the way you hoped or anticipated. It helps you see life in a way where you are just being present in the moment with everything that comes, whether it's good or bad. And you allow yourself to be in that moment and remember to always protect your energy.
Right.
And that's why it's so important because I know for me, some of the practices that I do to balance my energy have really helped with my anxiety. I grew up with this anxiety because I was always wanting things to be perfect.
Yeah.
I lived a life where I was like, everything in my life had to be a certain way. My grades had to be a certain way. My career had to be a certain way. Like every single thing had to be do. And I realized that I wasn't living in the moment, that I was always thinking about, well, oh my God, what's going to happen tomorrow?
Yeah.
What if I don't study enough? What if I get this grade? What if I don't go to college? What if, I don't know, like, you get all these worries as you grow older. And I realized living in a life of worry was making me feel not healthy. And as I mentioned, it was a definite sleep issue. And I realized, let's go ahead and put in some practices that will help us better balance and come to a state of inner peace. And I, did a lot of praying. I did a lot of meditation. I did a lot of breathing exercises. And then of course I took these courses with these wonderful ladies here. And I finally feel like I'm at a point where I realize, Jen, what are you so anxious about? Life is good, be grateful and just keep swimming, like Dory said.
Yeah.
Now I know that's why we're friends, Jen.
I see you.
Yeah. I feel you. And I do think writing onto that is important to have that balance in energy. Coming back to that mental image of the swimming, it's like when you're swimming not against the current, when you're swimming with the current, it just makes everything easier. But the waves are there and you got to find your way to kind of, ride the waves. But it means that, you can go with the flow of the current. That I think is very important. And I also think that, like what Jen was sharing, I think in maintaining that inner peace and also that flow of energy is through meditation. So one of the things that I've been practicing, increasingly intentional in practicing meditation is just really sitting there and just meditate with nothing in mind, not energy that's trapped in the past or energy that I look forward in the future, but just at that moment. And the best thing about that is really being able to enjoy life and enjoy that moment in time. What do you think, Laura?
Well, this came to mind. Early in my career, I had a boss that thought it would be a good idea for us to go whitewater rafting. And so we all went to the Trinity River, which is in Northern California, and they have a couple of rapids that are really difficult. And the guide in our boat was a Buddhist monk because there's a Buddhist temple in this area. And so he just was very quiet. You can just imagine the kind of person that lives in the now that just flows it. So we hit one of the rapids and we all fell out of the boat. No, excuse me. He fell out of the boat. The rest of us were still in the boat. So it's one thing if we're out of the boat, he falls out of the boat. And it was one of those big rapids. And we're like, where's the guide? Where's the guide? We're all just jumping up and down on this inflatable raft. He just bounces up and he has this big smile on his face. His glasses are still on. I'll never forget to this day. And he just thought that was the most exciting thing that ever happened. But he was still in this peaceful state. And you're probably saying, what does this have to do with our talk? I think most of us want to be him, but we don't want to do the work to get there. The other thing is, it's a day-to-day practice. There are days I just don't feel like being in the present. I want to worry about the future or fuss about the past. That doesn't make me bad. It doesn't mean that I'm not ascending in my journey. It means that it's a daily practice. And I think it's important that the more we can stay in that practice, that the more calm we are in ourselves, but also we're a light to other people in our lives. And what I find is when I'm in balance, what people do on the outside affects me less than when I'm out of alignment. When I'm out of alignment, everything they do just irks me. But if I'm in alignment and I'm peaceful and I'm just enjoying my life, well, whatever they do is what they're going to do. And I think that if we can practice that, like you said, through meditation, through prayer, through reading. I do a lot of reading. These ladies know I think I'm the second Oprah Winfrey book club person. I think it's important to do exercises, spend time in nature, whatever it takes for you to center. I think that's really important. I've been struggling because it's very rainy, very cold here, and I haven't been able to get out into nature. And I find that's difficult. So I think anything that we can do to keep that practice every day. And if we don't make it, don't be hard on yourselves. Go back to the practice of meditation, of prayer, of reading, and just move on from there. And so I think it's important not only for ourselves, but the other people in our lives. So that's my thought.
Great. Any last thoughts on this topic, girls?
No, I'm just glad to have everybody here with us today. And like Laura mentioned, if you feel like there are days when you just don't want to be in the present and you want to just sit with your emotions and your feelings at the moment, feel those feelings. We have a very, Lotus Chat episode all about feeling the feelings. Go back, definitely listen to that, watch it, because it's also important to be aware, be in a state of awareness of what you're feeling in order to reach that state of balance. Because a lack of balance can also be you not acknowledging your feelings and bottling them up. So I definitely recommend for everyone here to just, take a moment, write in a journal, cry for 5 minutes and, set a timer where you just cry your eyes out for 5 minutes. And when that timer's off, there you go, let that go. And I know I've done both of those things. So those are just some other things in case you would want to know on like, well, what if I'm feeling like this and I don't want to do anything but feel? Well, feel it. Just feel it.
Yeah. So to all the listeners out there who's listening, as we embrace the new year, Happy New Year, by the way, as we embrace the new year, we have shared our ways. We would love to know what are your ways that you practice today to balance your inner self. So in the next episode, we will be talking about supporting the masculine. So Laura or Jen, do you want to tell us a little bit about that topic?
I'll start. Jen, you jump in, okay? When we started tonight's session, we talked about balancing inner energies. Sometimes it's referred to as the yin and the yang. Sometimes it's referred to the masculine and the feminine. And so next week, we're going to talk about supporting the masculine energy. No, that does not mean are you supporting a masculine person. It means that we all have a masculine and a feminine side, and we want to explore both of those for balance. Jen, help me out here.
Thank you, Laura, for that wonderful introduction. And yes, we are really excited to discuss this next topic with you about supporting the masculine. And as Laura mentioned at the beginning of the episode, it really is about the whole yin and yang and masculine and feminine energies within us all. And basically, when it comes to the whole inner balance and this topic, we want to basically explain a little more about the fact that when the masculine and feminine energies within us are not in balance, which are those behaviors and or tendencies that one might consider masculine versus feminine, and we are more so in one or the other, that is when things can definitely become not so internally balanced within all of us. So for example, if I'm operating, let's say for my masculine energy, I'm more in a giver mode. So I'm always like on the go, always more externally focused on giving to others versus filling my own cup. So I'm always giving them my time, giving them my energy, giving them my support all the time. And if I were more so in my feminine energy, I'd be more open to, instead of taking on that role all the time, to actually be open to being in receiver mode, which is being more in my feminine energy of just taking a step back and actually allowing others to give to me and to give their support and to give their time, etc. So that is just one example. We wanted to give a little teaser. Is that kind of sort of where we're heading with that episode, Laura?
That's it. But also being in your masculine can be you're more assertive, more aggressive, you're in your power. And you can have feminine power, but you don't assert masculine tendencies. But many of us work in a career where we have to be strong, we have to be assertive and aggressive. So we find that sometimes when we're in that role, it's hard to feel our feminine energy because we go to work and we're pounding on people and we're telling them how it is and we're making sure that everyone knows that we're in charge, so to speak. And so I think the masculine tendencies we have to have in certain instances, but sometimes we focus on one and don't focus on the other. So we'll be talking next week about that energy where we are we're talking about those masculine tendencies that many of us have, and sometimes we can focus solely on that and not the other energies. So that's what we'll talk about.
And that's totally me, someone who doesn't know that the masculine energy exists. So thank you so much for listening out there. And if you like what you're hearing, click subscribe and follow us on both YouTube and Spotify. And if you want to know a little bit more and banter a bit on this topic, feel free to email us at lotuschatworldwide@gmail.com. So signing off for this week, I'm Zian.
I'm Jen.
And I'm Laura. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.